People who have followed Theriault's catalogs over the years have known how, in a few very felicitous occasions, we've been able to find a doll with her complete, wonderful, and original trousseau. There was, of course, the very famous Vignette doll, who came from France, and then there was the great man's doll, the doll that belonged to Victor Hugo's granddaughter, and had gone down in history with her complete original trousseau. And we're privileged now to be able to offer another of these wonderful, wonderful, totally original trousseaus. Sadly, we do not have much information about the original owner, except some clues that are hidden on the trunk of the doll. And as we continue in our research for doll history, we can always hope that someday we can find who the original owner of this wonderful, fortunate original owner of this beautiful doll would be. Now let's begin our story of this particular trousseau with the doll itself. And what a prize she is all by herself. She has a bisque swivel head with beautiful cobalt eyes, and she has the additional pivoting mechanism that allowed the doll not only to swivel in the traditional way, but to tilt her head forward and tilt it from side to side. And this was a very complicated, yet very simple system that was deposed by Alexandre de Horse in 1867. And when he wanted to exhibit this at the World Fair at that time, he bragged about his dolls that could have this extra movement, unlike the Hooray dolls that he was choosing to compete with. And then he said they can saucily look at the Mademoiselle Hooray dolls and say, see, I can tilt my head in a different way than you can. That was how his promotion went. I thought it was a nice way of competing. The body is wood with stretch kid over it. So it was not only wood, but it had that fine extra luxury finish of having very, very firmly stretched wood over it with dowel jointing. So the doll could be beautifully posed. And I want to just turn her to the side and pull her arm so you can see the beautiful shape of her torso. And then please note that she has bisque arms to above the elbow and the bisque lower legs with bare feet, which makes for wonderful posing also. And even notice such little details as her dimpled elbows. It's a very, very extraordinary doll in and of herself with no extra features. Now we'll put her back to sit on her little chair. But then, look at what she owns. Here she was stored in her original trunk, which we'll come to later, with this grand assortment of trousseau. The costumes here, the costumes behind me, and then an additional little stack of wonderful undergarments and accessories that we're going to show you. Each of these costumes, couturier made, very, very fine workmanship. And what I want to do in the next following minutes are just take each of these wonderful costumes and turn them around so you can have an opportunity to see and to judge them. There are 14 gowns and there are 10 different bonnets. And let's just begin with this one. It's beautiful ice blue. And the blue was such a classic color at this time, at this 1867 period, 1865 to 67 period. This beautiful, I call it an ice blue. And look at the details of the lace, the combination with the ivory silk, very, very fine handmade lace. And we're going to come in and show lots of details of these costumes. All right, and there's the back view, and again the side view. Wonderful shape of the coat sleeves with the seam, center seam down the front, and the sleeves curving to conform to the doll's body shape and make it easier for dolls to have their costumes put on and taken off. And next we'll move on to this very, very lovely sheer, very sheer, like a muslin fabric. There were so many different names for the fabrics at the time that I always hate to use fabric names because they change with what we call them today. And that's why I think it's so wonderful if you can have an opportunity to actually see this. Now watch this gown when I turn it around, because seeing it from the front, it's so dainty and so exquisite. But when you turn it around, that's when you really appreciate how very special it is, because you see the extended train. And we're going to let it kind of fall off the front of the table so you could just see how very long it is. This is an overskirt that is hanging on top of the underskirt, and that's what helps to give it its added body. And while we're looking at that, I want to show you a few pieces of underwear. Because this lovely doll was not only privileged to own a petticoat with extended train, so her entire costume could be modestly lined, but in order to give the costume its shape, she additionally owns the hoop with the extended shape on the hoop petticoat. Very, very rare and wonderful to find. So if she wasn't going to the evening ball, she might still be going on a cold evening out to visit someone or for evening dinner. And she has this wonderful brown velvet. And look at the very interesting sleeves, the Elizabethan style sleeves that have the little bunching at the top of the sleeves and the metallic thread edging on them, which when we look at the early dolls, I'm going to show you from the Margaret Woodbury Strong collection next, you're going to see how this theme was repeated so much. So here was a costume about 1865 that picked up these earlier themes, Elizabethan themes. And again, let's turn it completely around so you can see how wonderfully this costume was made. I like to envision those of you who like to sew are sitting at home and quickly sketching something as the costume turns around, and please feel free because it is such a joy to be able to see these wonderful costumes. I wish each of you could see them in person. We have 1, 2, 3 layers of flaps at the back. The jacket flap, the lower flap, and then a still lower flap with the ball fringe on the edging. And then start to look at this beautiful, another example of the ice blue color used in a dress gown. Okay, and you see the front of her is very, very beautiful, again with that very, very fine, delicate lace. Flat skirt front, flat dress front. And as we turn her, you start to see her train and how very extended and long it is. Can you imagine her sweeping down the stairs, entering the ballroom? And there is the back. Very, very simple, but sometimes it would be fun if you ever have an opportunity to acquire or have access to some of these costumes that are very, very frail and worn so that it's okay to handle them because there really isn't much more you can do with them. It still is helpful because you're able to look at them and just see their construction and how they were done, and that enables you to see how very almost complicated internal stitching and construction on these dresses allowed them to have these very simple, elegant lines. One of the rules of French fashion, it seems, has always been to do something as exuberantly as you can and then look at it and take one thing off because you've gone just one step too far. And the French fashions in this way have always had this very, very fine ability to go to exactly the right degree they should to make their costumes the best. We're going to stick with the ice blue for a moment and go to another one of my favorite costumes. I think we wish that we could give her a name because it seems like she does deserve to have a name. Another gorgeous costume with that same wonderful handmade lace and the same ice blue silk, and you're going to see that she has, I try to handle these as little as I can, she has this wonderful wrap that goes around her shoulders, and it's detachable, the detachable wrap, but when it's on her, it forms into these 2 extended length lappets in the back. Very, very beautiful. All hand stitched, wonderfully done. Another beautiful costume uses other favorite colors from that time period. This color of coral or shrimp was very, very popular, and you're going to see it repeated in a few other dresses in a moment in their trim. And this one has the black overlay with, again, this very, very fine black lace edging the collars. I'm just talking a lot so we can take lots of time and fill it and showing this costume around. But don't pay no attention to me, just look at the costume. That's what it should be about. We have the little streamers coming at the back. And again, the wonderful coat sleeves. Look at the details like the soutache braid on the edge of the sleeves. Very, very fine. As much detail as you could have, but without going overboard. Let's do a few bonnets while we're here. This wonderful bonnet is very stiffened, and it's made with velvet ribbons, with stiffened cord, with little bouquets of the palettes or the sequins, the black enamel sequins. Very, very fine. We have a wonderful woven straw bonnet with great streamers falling down and silk and velvet flowers on the top. And the bonnet, as you want to seek to find in these, has its original lining. Staying with the woven bonnets for a moment, we have another wonderful example with, excuse the pin in there, with the black velvet banding and the silk flowers once again. We have a wonderful bonnet in the traditional coif. This designed to come closely around the sides of her face, kind of hiding her face, and could have a straw bonnet and superimposed over the top if she so wished, with the tall ruffle at the back. Very, very dainty, beautiful bonnet. A brown velvet bonnet with original lining. Another wonderful black cap, very firmly shaped with wire edging all the way around so it would stay firmly to the head, and overlaid with layers and layers of flounced black lace. This one of my favorites because it has the heavily draped ivory satin on the wire frame, and then the over-rolled velvet ribbon, which is faded to a very appealing and charming manner, and silk flowers at the bottom. Still another bonnet. It just goes on and on. The costumes that this doll owns. And again, this one to go with one of her ice blue silk gowns, Shirley, designed to sit just atop the top of her head, and with a complete coronet of flowers that would frame her face, and a little rhinestone pin right at the top. This again, so understated as to just be magnificent in its work, is a lace cap with blue scalloped embroidered edging and little blue dots embroidered on it, and even embroidered at the very crown of her head, and with long streamers that were designed to dangle at the sides of her face. A very beautiful cap. There's a photograph in the catalog of her wearing this particular hat, and it's just beautiful. A wonderful woven purse designed to loop over her belt. Shoes. And then still one more bonnet, this mauve velvet ribbon. And again, another very, very popular color that was used at that time. We still have two more gowns. I think I have more gowns in the back I haven't shown you. We have this wonderful polka dot gown, and here's the use when I said I'd show you more with coral accents. Look at the back of this gown with her flounced back, designed to be very, very full and flounced at the back, and then with the coral streamers coming down. A very playful type of gown, and yet quite formal and fancy as well. Very lovely, lovely. And another one of the, I think, nicest gowns, this very dainty white one with the long fitted over jacket over the pink underskirt with big woven polka dots, I guess you'd have to call them, pagoda-style sleeves with a crocheted edging and at the bottom, and then turning it around, again, the very full flounce at the back with the coral satin ribbon. And I've saved three of my favorite costumes for last. Of course, always blue is wonderful. And this gown is so extraordinary. Look at the way the sleeve construction is. Little shortened sleeves, but she was modest, and so she had these lace overlays that would fall off of her shoulder and come down just below her elbow, showing her arms, but modestly semi-covering them. Very, very beautiful. The very fine tulle forms the entire skirt, as a matter of fact, over its undercoats. And I'm going to turn this slowly around so you can see the back of this gown. This is just so extraordinary, in my opinion. Blue streamers at the back, very delicate fringe, silk fringe and lace, beautiful silk bluette flowers edging the bottom, and this very long extended train with its attached underskirt that it completely accommodates to it, so she has modest covering all the time. Very fine, fine costume. And wonderful in case she's going out in wintertime and she needs her little ermine tipped, although it really is not ermine, it's like plush mohair. Wool flannel coat with the matching skirt, little jacket with the double-breasted look on it. Very, very fine. And the fur trim at the sleeves, the shoulders, around the edging, and the matching skirt. And finally, this wonderful knit ensemble, which is just grand because it includes everything from the shoe covers to the skirt, which is actually a complete pinafore dress, to a matching jacket, and to the little capelet hood, and even including the muff. It's a wonderful outfit. It's a great colors. Now, part of the mystery of her, because whoever's lucky enough to own her for the next 150 years, which is how old she is from the time she left her chateau until now, will want to try to find out more about her. This is her original trunk she came in. I'm just going to show you the inside for a moment. Very, very fine luxury trunk. It has 2 layered trays inside to hold all of her goods. And when you turn it to the side, you can see the original travel posters at the side. And it's showing that she is being shipped from Nantes in France to La Bourboule, which is in the Auvergne section of France. So we have some clues as to her origination, as to who owned her, but we do not have the name of the original child, and we do not have the name of the doll. We do have one more clue. Included with her is this priceless little book, Album de la Poupée. I have had this album one other time, and in the other occasion it had the name of the store which issued it, Au Paradis des Enfants. And they issued it in 1867, which was the time of the International World's Fair in Paris. And those of you who know me know that I'm constantly going on about how these 19th century world fairs were so pivotal in doll history because so many things were being introduced, deposed, registered, presented in accordance with these world fairs that it helps us to date them, and it also tells what people were doing. This little booklet opens up to reveal, and we show this in the catalog, a pull-out section of all sorts of wonderful toys that were presumably available at the store that issued this. We can make a leap that it's Au Paradis des Enfants because the other book we had was labeled, but I'm sure other stores may have offered the same type of thing. And what wonderful, wonderful toys and dolls. We do know that it was issued at the time of 1867. We do know that the Dehors neck articulation that our beautiful doll has was deposed in 1867, so we can make that judgment that this is the time she would date to, and we know she belonged to a little girl in La Bourboule region of France. So these are the clues we have, that and her extraordinary, perfectly preserved trousseau, an exceptional, exceptional find.